has announced these are your Bartow County School Board candidates to fill the post 5. We've had questions submitted from the community to the Bartow County GOP. But as always, we'll begin with a quick introduction where you can introduce yourself and what you believe the role of the school board post you're trying to achieve. What is that role? What should folks know about that role? And we'll start off with Mr. Greg Bowen.
Thank you for letting me be here tonight. My name is Greg Bowen. I'm running for school board to represent Folsom and Kingston and Ayersville. Been out seeing people, talking to people, and one thing I've come to understand is the old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I want to use this time to share my heart for children, my community, and the people who dedicate their lives to educate our children. My desire is that our school system be one that you will be proud of, that you would be glad to send your children, your grandchildren to. A system that all children receive not only an excellent education, but that they receive it in an environment that is safe, healthy, and enjoyable. My campaign slogan has been, children are the heart of the matter. Sometimes people get so consumed by issues such as finance and budgets and taxes, lawsuits, and SACS investigations that they lose sight of the real mission, educating children. I will be the kind of representative you can trust. I will look after the welfare of our children without causing undue hardship on our teachers or our taxpayers. Being a business owner where a family's livelihood depends on the decisions I make, I've come to understand the responsibility that comes with positions of leadership, how decisions we make affect real people in real ways. I pledge to use my experience, knowledge, prayer, and common sense to make wise decisions. I will be a representative you can talk to, that you can depend on. Another quote is, where there is no vision, the people perish. My vision for Bartow County school system is to be among the top systems in the state. We already have great teachers and outstanding students.
Thank you, sir.
All is needed is leadership.
And I apologize, but we will be holding strict time constraints, and we will hopefully have enough time for everybody can answer the questions. Ms. Sullivan is taking the question. Same introduction.
Is this on? Good evening. For the past 10 years, I've been involved in our schools from the classroom to the playing field. I know firsthand the challenges that we face and the possibilities for our future as our children, teachers, and families adjust to nearly non-stop changes in education. And the pace of change is only going to accelerate in the future. With 4 children in the school system, I have a vested interest in the success of that future. With our family's livelihood and roots here, I know that strong schools create strong community. Since my appointment, I've talked with many of you about the needs and successes of our schools. We can't depend on short-term fixes as we look to the future. My educational background enables me to take the long-range view that we need in leadership. My professional experience in leading major public and private institutions has given me the creative, practical, and diplomatic skills to lead now. It's my combination of professional background, educational training, and personal interest that no other candidate brings to our board. When I think about education, I know that we're building people. And when I look at our schools, I don't see problems, I see possibilities. It's been an honor to serve this community on the school board for the last several months. I hope that you will consider me for your vote in the special election and the general primary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first question is, how can we improve the quality of education without increasing the cost? And we'll let the first question, we'll go to Mr. Bowen. I can repeat it if necessary.
That's okay. The quality of education has nothing to do with how many dollars you spend on a student. There's many systems out there that you can get that data, and it's been proven. It's all in making the decisions where you get a return on your investment. We're talking about putting money in the right departments and spending it in the right way so that the children receive a good education. only thing we really need to do is cut out the wasteful spending, the spending that's done on things that aren't benefiting the children. A lot of our money, not most of it, but a lot of our money is spent at the central office level where there's no children there. That's all administrative. We need to look in that area to see if we can't be wiser about how we spend that money. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question from Ms. Sullivan.
I think that our schools matter because they're the lifeblood of our community. And if you have any doubt about that, try getting anywhere near a school on a high school football night and you'll find that it's a pretty big traffic jam. The way that we can improve our schools without decreasing quality is to keep our community and our schools involved. In our community, in Adairsville and Kingston and Folsom, the school and the community are integrally linked together. That's the best way to educate our children because the people who are involved in our communities should have that input and they know what's best for our children. We use the professional experience and the education that we have from the leaders in our schools and work with our community, and we can definitely keep the quality of our schools high while also educating our children in the best environment possible.
Thank you. The next question was submitted to the Bartow County GOP. It is kind of lengthy, so stay with me, but it's so particular to Bartow, I think you'll enjoy it. When looking at CRCT scores for the past few years, the Bartow County school system has consistently ranked in the middle of the state behind Cartersville City and our neighbor to the east, Cherokee County, who has consistently ranked near the top. Another trend has been as students progress through the Bartow County school system, the upper grades tend to rank worse in the state, which could be interpreted that as children progress through Bartow County school system, they may be receiving an inferior education as their peers that they used to outperform when they were in lower grades. What would be your plan to reverse this trend in older students seemingly being passed up by their peers and start to be on the same level as our neighbor, Cherokee County? To Ms. Sullivan.
Well, I think one of the first things we've done that's been a very good thing for us is that we are now out from under the restrictions of the CRCT testing. So our teachers can get back to teaching and not be quite so consumed with testing. It relieves the stress on our students and helps to improve the overall quality of our schools. As our students go through the school system and we create the education and the learning systems that they need, we can tailor our teaching to what our students need rather than just the simple mandates and having the top-down influence in our schools. I think that our students have made steady gains in CRCT testing, and I'm anxious to see how well we do over this next year as we've released the schools from the restrictions on those mandates.
Mr. Bowen?
We put way too much emphasis on test scores. We need to put more control into the hands of the teacher to evaluate the student. They know the students better. The parents know the students better. But we end up using test scores as our major mark for our progress, and I think that in itself is a mistake. If we can get local control back in the schools, as Mrs. Sullivan has said, and get out from some of these mandates that we've been under, then we'll see improvement. Thank you.
The next question is going to deal with funding education. Again, as many people know, a big portion of your property tax mostly comes from your school board more than your county commission. So we're going to talk about the millage rate for a second. Quickly, can you let the folks here know today whether or not you will vote to increase the millage rate? And if not, how can you ensure that that will not be necessary during your first term? Mr. Sullivan. There you go.
As most of you know, the millage rate was a major consideration for us. Over the last several years, the millage rate has remained flat. This is in spite of the fact that we have had a continuing cuts in education and in funding for us. That's been very difficult for our schools. But we know that if we raise the millage rate, then we're also placing a burden on the taxpayers and putting extra strain on families who are already in dire financial need in many cases. Despite this, we have teachers who put their own money into buying supplies and helping to take care of our children. I can't promise you that we won't look at raising the millage rate again. One reason that it remained flat for so many years is because we're already close to bumping at the very limit of what we can raise. I think that what we have to do as we look at our school budgets is don't depend just on tax increases, but look at other ways that we can help to solve that problem in our communities.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
I served on the school board for 4 years already, and in 3 of those years we were able to lower the millage rate. We did that at the same time we were improving test scores and graduation rates, student results. We also built up a fund balance. It can be done. A lot of people believe that just because we're in hard times that you can't keep from raising the millage rate. We can live on what we're getting. Our problem is not how much we're taxing the people. The problem is how much we're spending. This year the school system is spending $6 million more than they're bringing in. You can't do that. You have to work on a balanced budget. And so that would be the way that I would try to handle the financing part of it. We would look at our expenditures, not our taxes.
And I also wanted to acknowledge the local Tea Party for assisting in answering these questions as well. I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge that earlier. But the next question is, currently, the local revenues are collected through a property tax. Would you support and/or lobby the local delegation and state legislature to change this form of taxation? And if so, what type of taxation would you support and lobby for? And we'll start this time with Mr. Bowen.
I'm in favor of a flat tax, of a tax that's put on the spending of money. The people who spend the most money are the people who have the most money. That's the only fair tax. That would also help because we have interstate running through our county. And so as people travel down to Florida, we would, or wherever, we would benefit from them stopping in at our local businesses. That is a better way of taxing.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan.
Well, as many of you know, there's a controversy right now about T-SPLOST, whether or not we're willing to accept even 1 cent more in paying taxes. I think what Mr. Bowman is referring to is a sales tax. And my question when it comes to taxes is how much sales tax are we willing to accept over the course of a year? When we tax things like food and essentials and medicine and clothing, I don't think that that helps families who are in need. I think it actually is detrimental and is a regressive tax. It also means that the burden of paying for things shifts to various components in the society. So we're not actually getting a tax cut or a tax break. We're just shifting costs from one group to the other. And I know that probably the ones who are going to get hit the most are going to be my children and the younger children who are coming along behind us, the people who don't have a steady income, who don't have established careers, and who may very well find themselves paying much, much more than we actually pay now. I think if we're going to look at funding schools and we're going to look at finding solutions, then we have to be creative, we have to be cooperative, we have to look at how all the funding is set up, and we have to have a comprehensive reform. We can't just make one change in one area and think that's going to solve our problems. We have long-range problems, not short-term problems.
Thank you. The local Bartow GOP and the Tea Party have asked the following question to be answered in a yes or no first, and then you can explain your answer. We'll start with Mr. Bowen. Do you support the T-SPLOST?
No, I do not. At the beginning I did because it's based on the same principles I believe in, where you tax on expenditures. But after coming to the seminar right here in this building and learning more about it, I changed my vote and I am against it. It does not give any local control to how the money is spent. And if we're going to pay our money in, we need to have some say-so on how it's spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Sullivan.
Well, as I just stated, I hesitate adding any more money to already strained budgets. So I guess my answer then would be a direct no. But I think that we do also have to find ways that we are going to solve the problems that we have. We need transportation, we need good roads, or we can't bring business into our community. If we don't intend to pass a tax that's going to help us pay for that, then we're going to have to figure out where that money is going to come from. And I think you and I both know that we're going to end up paying one way or the other.
Thank you. And the final question that has been submitted. Do you acknowledge that Georgia is consistently ranked at or near the bottom nationally in education? And are you open to exploring all forms of education to harvest ideas and innovation for improvement? Give examples. We'll start with Ms. Sullivan.
When I look at our schools, I don't see failures. I look out in this audience and I know that most of you probably graduated from public school. I don't see an auditorium full of failures. I think that we do have work to do in our schools. I think that we do need to look at all ways of educating students. I can also tell you that we aren't just dependent upon public education or private education or homeschooling or any of the other options that we have. However, 90% of our children are educated in public schools, and I think that should be our priority. We have great teachers. We have wonderful children in our schools. I think they need our support, and I think that talking about our schools as failures all the time is one of the things that really motivated me to decide to run for the school board, because I don't see our schools as failures. I see wonderful people, I see great communities, and I see possibilities for how we're going to do better.
Thank you. And now we'll go to the closing. You each have an opportunity to close. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I love skipping past folks. I try to get you out.
I wouldn't mind skipping that question.
I know you did. I was trying to look out for you.
I wasn't going to say a word. Well, nobody likes to think of ourselves as coming in ranking low in anything by any measurement. I've said before when I was on the school board, the problem I have is the way that they set up that they measure us. I don't think it's fair and I don't think it's right. But that being said, my goal is that our system become one of the best in the state. We have to reach out to new ideals. We have to open ourselves up to trying new things. And it's not the teacher's fault. A lot of people think just because we're ranking low that we must not have good educators, and that is far from the truth. Most of the problem comes in that we have state and federal mandates that we have to operate under that takes away so much local control that we can't do the things we'd like to do. And if we can find ways to get out from underneath some of those local or state mandates and federal mandates, I think we could get much better results.
Sure, that's it? All right. Now we'll go to closing. You can remind everyone why they should vote for you and say anything else you like in your closing statement. We'll start with Ms. Sullivan.
Well, as my closing, I'd just like to thank you all for being here. It's been heartening over the last several weeks and months to listen to people in this community and to hear your genuine concern for our schools and our communities. I find that as I've talked to many of you, you're well aware of the places where we need improvement, but you're also aware of the successes that we have in our schools. I think we have to build upon our successes. I think we have to look at creative ways of problem solving, and I think that I have the education, the professional background, and the involvement in our schools to be able to serve your community and our schools to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Boy.
Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My opponent and I are very different in our views and beliefs. No doubt who you elect will take our system in very different directions. I am a Christian, conservative Republican. I have a proven record of successful leadership. When I was on the board before, our student achievement rose while at the same time we lowered taxes. I will work for a balanced budget instead of the $6 million deficit the existing board is presenting. I have been a Republican all my life and have taken advantage of, with great pride, in my right to vote. My opponent has no record of voting in a Republican primary that we can find, yet asked for your vote in this primary. The Republican questionnaire was not answered by my opponent only giving a summary statement. I have nothing to hide from Republican voters. In fact, my effort has been to be very honest so that the voters will know who I am and what they can expect. Thank you.
At the moderator's discretion, I will give Ms. Sullivan a chance to rebut if you would like. If not, no problem. All right, that will conclude. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for your candidates for the Bartow County School Board.